Hey everyone, today I'm back doing another video. This video is going to be another story time video, which I haven't done one in a while, so I'm kind of excited to do this for you guys. But this particular story time that I'm going to be telling you guys is the time that I almost drowned. This, hands down, was probably one of the most scariest moments in my life. Like when I say I almost drowned, like literally almost drowned, like I basically accepted that I was gonna die, but we're gonna get all into that in this story time. So yeah, I'm just gonna go ahead and get started. So if you would like to hear the story time about how I almost drowned, keep on watching this video. All right, so when this incident took place, it was a good amount of years ago. I think I was like a 10 or 11 years old, and my dad took me, my sister Bree, and then my friend on a trip to Michigan Adventures. Now, if you guys aren't from Michigan, or if maybe you're just in general just aren't familiar with what Michigan Adventures is, it is basically an amusement park. It's a amusement park and water park in one. So of course it has a bunch of different rides, a lot of roller coasters, and then of course the water park, which they have a couple wave pools, they have like a lazy river, they have water slides, things like that. So my dad took all four of us, including him, on a trip to Michigan Adventures, and overall it was a pretty good day. I'm not a fan of roller coasters. I'll go on roller coasters, but I do not like them. So I'm not the biggest into like rides, but I was super excited for the water park. I love the water park at Michigan Adventures. I love the water slides. The wave pool is so much fun. I mean, after telling the story time, you guys will probably understand why I probably will never go in a wave pool again, but of course we're gonna get to that. So it was a pretty uneventful day. You know, we were just riding rides all day. I was like screaming and crying, not like literally, but like kind of, because I hated roller coasters, but I would go on them anyways. So we spent like the first half of the day in the actual amusement park riding rides, and then after we had like a snack and some lunch, we decided to spend the rest of the day in the water park, which again, that was super fun. When we first got there, we rode a few different water slides. I absolutely love the water slides. They're so much fun. And then we spent the rest of the time in the wave pool. So basically, maybe I should explain this as well, maybe if you don't know what a wave pool is, but a wave pool is just a regular pool, but I don't really know how it works, but they have some sort of like machine or mechanism that actually makes waves. And in the wave pool, at least at Michigan Adventures, they get pretty big. Or maybe at least they're big for me because I'm a very small person. I'm only 4'8", and when this was happening, I probably was around the same height. I haven't really grown much, so I was probably around the same height. So to me, the waves get very big, and I don't have to go out very far into the wave pool or just any pool in general before the water and the waves are like way over my head. So yeah, and before this incident, I've been to Michigan Adventures a few different times, and the wave pool is always my favorite part because it's just so much fun, and it's just so cool because the wave pool isn't going constantly and you don't really know when it's gonna happen. So it starts off just like it's like a regular pool at first, and you're just kind of swimming around, and then these sirens will go off, and then that's when the waves are starting to come, and they start out small and then they get bigger and bigger and bigger. Yeah, and they would do it randomly throughout the day or throughout when people were in the pool, so you didn't really know when they were gonna come, so it was kind of fun in that way. So anyways, we were in the wave pool, and they had the waves going, you know, a few different times, and it was fun. We were playing in the waves and it was all good. But when one of the wave segments ended, my friend, which she's very tall, very, very tall. I think she's close to like 5'10", 5'11", even back then when we were 10 and 11 years old. Yeah, very tall. And my sister is shorter than all of us. She's even shorter than me, but she was down for anything. And they decided to, when the waves would come again, they would go all the way to the end of the pool, or like towards like where the waves were, which is also the deepest part of the pool. I wasn't about that because obviously I'm so short. I can swim obviously, but I just didn't want to go out there because of how deep it was and like how big the waves were, because obviously when the waves start and once they get to like the beginning of the pool, they obviously subside, if you know what I mean. You know, like if you go to like a lake or an ocean, when they get to the beginning, they kind of like calm down a little bit. They're not as big as like if they are like out in the way deep, if that makes any sense. So I was a little scared, but as they were swimming out there, I just didn't want to be left by myself because My dad's not a swimmer. I don't believe my dad can swim, actually, so he wasn't out there with us, so I just didn't want to be by myself. I was only with my friend and my sister, so I just followed them out there. I don't really know. They were like already at the way end, but I was trying to make my way there. I don't know how I got so far behind, but when all this was going on, the sirens went off and the waves were starting to come. And I could see my friend and my sister, they were having so much fun way in the deep, but I was still trying to get to them, kind of fighting through the waves because the waves were kind of pushing me back. So I was trying to fight against the waves to get out there with them. And finally, I wasn't totally by them. I was closer, but I wasn't totally by them, but I was definitely in the deep part of the pool where the waves were getting pretty big at this time. And it didn't take me long to realize when I got out there that I was in some serious shit. Yeah, when I got out there, I realized the waves, they were not pushing me back to shore like they were doing, you know, not too long ago when I was trying to get out there, how they were pushing me like further back into shore. They weren't doing that. They were actually going underneath. It was kind of like a riptide, or is that what it's called? Like a riptide, where it kind of like curls under. That's exactly what the waves were doing. And I was like right here and the waves would curl under me and they were pulling me under the water. And when this first started happening, I didn't think it was that big of a deal. I didn't really think anything of it. I just kept trying to fight against them. I would come back up, but right when I would come back up, there would be another wave and it would take me back under. And I would come back up, and right when I came back up, there was another wave and it took me back under. And after this kept happening, probably the fourth or fifth time, I realized, like, you know what? I can't breathe because the waves keep pushing me underwater, and I don't even, when I come back up, there's another wave right there. Like, I didn't even have time to take another breath. And this is when I started to freak out, because this is when I realized, like, I was in some trouble. And I started to freak out and I started to panic, which is the worst thing you can do. But like, I was only 10 or 11 years old. Like, what else was I supposed to do? I was starting to get really scared because I could not get up and catch my breath because the waves just kept coming and coming and they just kept taking me underwater and like pushing me deep and deeper under the water. And every time I came back up, or one of the times I came back up and I screamed Brie. I was screaming for my sister to come help me, and she did hear me. She tried to come where I was, because like I said, we were closer, but we weren't right next to each other. They were probably a good few feet still away from me, but she did hear me scream her name, and she was trying to, you know, basically come to my rescue, but as the waves were like taking me underwater, they were kind of pushing her further away from me. And this is the one thing that still pisses me off to this day, that at these wave pools, the wave pools are pretty big and they have like 3 or 4 lifeguards on each end, because they have like, here's the pool, and then they have like little like ledges where the lifeguards were, and they had like 3 or 4, maybe even more, I don't really know. They had like 3 or 4 lifeguards on each end, and not one of them noticed that I was drowning. Like, I know there's a lot of people in these wave pools and I'm just like a little tiny thing, so maybe they really just didn't see me. Seriously, you guys, like, when I say I almost drowned, like I literally almost drowned. Like, it was the scariest moment of my life. It was the scariest feeling. And this is when I realized, like, or the moment I realized, like I'm gonna die, or like I just kind of accepted that I was gonna die, is because I wasn't able to get any like breath in when I was coming back up, if that makes any sense, because the waves kept taking me underwater. It felt like there was so much pressure in my chest and there was so much pressure in my head. Like, it literally felt like my head was gonna explode, and it felt like my lungs were gonna explode. Like, not only up here was there pressure, like my whole thoracic region, like where my lungs were, like my lungs just hurt and there was so much pressure, and it just felt like my lungs were gonna explode. And I kept trying to fight the waves. I kept trying to just get to the top, just to even get one breath of oxygen in before it took me back under, but it just wasn't working. The waves were just too close together and I wasn't able to get any breath. And the pressure in my chest and the pressure in my head just kept building and building and building. And it felt like my eyes were gonna pop out of my head, like my whole entire head just felt like it was just gonna blow up. And that's just when I honestly, at that moment, I'm not even joking, I just stopped fighting. I just laid there underwater and I was like, this is it, you know, Brooke. I was talking to myself, I was like, Brooke, you know, you tried, you did all you could, you lived a good short 10 years of life. But I guess I was just, it's just so funny that being 10 years old, being so young, and I just thinking like, you know what, this must have been in God's plan, and it's time for God to take me home. And I was completely, literally, you guys, I was completely at peace with it. I just was laying there underwater and I was like, this is fine. Like, if this isn't God's plan, oh my God, I'm getting emotional. Anyways, I was like, this is God's plan. If this is what he wants, then this is what he wants. And I just accepted it. And literally right after I had that thought and right after, like, I just totally relaxed under the water, basically at the very bottom of the pool, some lady in the pool dove underwater and picked me up, and she had me like up in her arms, like I was totally out of the water, like she was just holding me up out of the water. And she just kept asking me, she was like, are you all right? Are you all right? Are you breathing okay? Is everything all right? Are you okay? And I didn't say anything. I literally thought, at this point, I literally thought I was dead. Like, I didn't realize that someone actually picked me up out of underwater. Like, I was assuming like it was like an angel or something. And I had my eyes shut like this. I wouldn't open my eyes. I wouldn't take my hands off my face. But I realized, and I didn't answer for a good, probably like 15, 30 seconds. I didn't answer this lady, but she just kept asking me, like, she was like, oh my God, are you okay? Do you need help? Do you want me to get a lifeguard? Like, are you okay? Are you okay? Are you okay? And finally I realized, like, oh, I'm not dead. I'm still alive. I'm not in the water. Like, I'm breathing. And I just gave like a little nod. I couldn't even talk. Like, I was just in so much, like, I was in shock at this point. So I just gave a little nod, and she carried me a little bit towards the shore. So I wasn't in the deep at all. Like, I was able, when she put me down in the water, because, okay, back up. So she carried me over a little bit to the shore, or like not even the shore, but because it's a pool, but you know what I mean, like the beginning shallow end of the pool. And she said, can you walk the rest of the way? And again, I just gave like a little nod because I just couldn't, I still at this point, I could not talk. And then when she put me down, I was kind of like, maybe like mid-abdomen in water, so it was fine. I was out of most of the waves. The waves were still coming at this point, but they were like small. And yeah, so I got out of the pool and I just sat like in the very beginning of the pool, and I just started bawling. Like, I just couldn't believe that just happened to me. I was still in so much shock, and I was like, oh my God, did that seriously just happen? Like, I don't know. It was just a crazy experience, and I literally felt like I was getting like a second chance at life or something. Like, again, this is so weird that a 10-year-old would be thinking this, but I literally thought I was gonna die. Like I said, you guys, I was so at peace with dying and like Jesus bringing me home. I was just bawling and I had all these thoughts going through my head, and then eventually the waves stopped in the wave pool, and my friend and Bree were able to get to the shore, beginning of the pool, whatever you want to call it. And Bree just like hugged me, and she was like, oh my God, are you okay? And she was like so hysterical. She wasn't crying, but she was like really worried about me. And yeah, so that was basically my experience and how I almost drowned. And basically from there on out, the rest of the day was just horrible, because basically after that happened and we told my dad everything that happened, we were basically ready to go at that point. We're like, okay, let's just get out of here, because there was no way I was going back in that pool. I was like, no, I am done for the day. Like, if Bree and my friend, if they want to keep swimming, that's fine. I'm just going to sit up here with my dad. But we all decided, like, no, it's fine. Like, that was enough. Like, let's go ahead and go home. And literally when we got out to the parking lot, we realized that my dad's car was broken into. And my purse, I mean, it's not like I had anything like major in my purse, because I was only 10 years old. It's not like I had a bunch of money in there. I just had some like change, but someone broke into my dad's car and they took some change out of my purse. And I think they took some of like pictures that I had in my purse. They took those. They stole Bree's cell phone. Like, it was just a horrible, horrible day. Like, the second half of the day from there on out, it was just a really bad day. So, and I think, oh no, that is not the last time I've been to Michigan Adventures. I've been to Michigan Adventures after that when I was about like 14 or something like that, which is it was a little bit of a better time, but I was still scared of the wave pool. I did go into the wave pool that time, but I literally did not go past my waist. Like, I was And even till this day, I haven't been there since I was 14 years old, I believe, but I don't have any interest in going back in the wave pool. And if I did, it definitely would not be probably past my waist, because once you go through something like that, once you go through an experience like almost drowning and feeling those horrible pressure feelings and everything involved with it, like, it's just a horrible feeling, and I don't ever want to feel that way again. And I would not, honestly, I would not wish that on my worst enemy. Like, it was just a horrible experience. So yeah, that is my story time about how I almost drowned. I feel like it's kind of a morbid story time, but I thought I would just go ahead and share it with you guys anyways. I really hope you all enjoyed it anyways. If you did, please make sure to give it a thumbs up. So yeah, I'm gonna get going for now. I really hope you all have a wonderful day, and I will see you all in my next video. Bye everyone.